This person says, please, please, someone mention Assange. The absence of meaningful protections for whistleblowers like Snowden, who claims he followed the whistleblower protection law but was stonewalled. Obama's wiretaps of reporters' phones to learn their sources, overclassification by the US government, which could lead to overprosecution, absence of a federal shield law, etc. Maybe the methods are different, but the outcomes are as similar as is the message. The message being stay silent or suffer, not freedom of speech, whether by the press or anyone else. So I thought this would be a great way to start this off. Does anybody want to respond to that?
I think that the way that the US government has been prosecuting and persecuting Julian Assange for the last, I don't know how many years, is an impeachable offense. It is an attack on journalism itself, and it's an attack on, on freedom of speech, the First Amendment. And well, any president who does not end the prosecution of Assange should be impeached for that, and probably other reasons, but for that reason alone.
Okay. Anybody else want to take that one up?
I'll just add, Julian Assange is a friend of mine. I used to visit him at the Ecuadorian embassy in London. He is being used as an example. The fourth estate is pretty much constrained now and is populated by people who read press releases and know what they're supposed to say. Julian found a way to create a fifth estate, a state that could take confidential information, make it immediately available to people after proper vetting. That was his sin. They want to make sure that nobody else tries to do what Julian Assange did. That's why they're saying, in effect, look, you try to do what Julian Assange did, we're going to follow you all over the world. We're going to put you in prison. We're going to hold you in many ways. And if we get a hold of you ourselves, we'll put you away for 65 years. So don't even try it. Doesn't matter if you come from Uruguay or you come from Iceland or Australia. It doesn't matter. We're going to get you, okay? The only other thing I'll say is that the UN Rapporteur for Torture has actually written a book about Julian, and people should really read it. His name is Melzer, M-E-L-Z-E-R, Niels. He happens to be fluent not only in German, French, and other languages, but also in Swedish. Now, when he started to take Julian's case seriously, he went to Sweden. And I'm not quite sure whether the Swedish authorities knew of his capability in Swedish, but he read all the police documents and he found out Julian was framed by the police in Sweden under the tender mercies of liaison services. And make a long story short, those women who did have sex with Julian, it was consensual. They never disputed that. All they wanted was for Julian to take an AIDS test. He had just taken one. He said, I don't need to take another one. The police took that and made Julian into a rapist. And so what you hear when you talk to any American here about Julian, you say, oh, that's the guy that raped those women in Sweden. It's a classic arrow in the quiver of intelligence services. They got him that way. It's a pity what has happened to him, and I dearly hope that one way or another, judicial authorities who think correctly will prevent his extradition and lead him to freedom.
Could I add something?
Yes.
Okay, I agree with what's been said. This is the most egregious case that we're seeing at the moment. I do have to add, as a 33-year associate of the late Lyndon LaRouche, that we experienced this firsthand, and Ramsey Clark, the former U.S. Attorney General, described LaRouche and his publications. He said, LaRouche was given a 15-year jail sentence on conspiracy charges, and Ramsey Clark said, these are book people. This was after a newspaper, a science magazine, a journal called War on Drugs had all been shut down by the US government, which had hundreds of thousands of subscribers. And then people associated with LaRouche were given 77-year sentences and the like. So unfortunately, the case is not unique. It's the most outrageous one of a living person at the moment. And I think that if we can secure justice in this case, that it would go a long way to removing a horrible blot on the American government.